Hello! I am sitting in my studio with my dog, who is definitely trying to knock everything over right now because she's getting very excited about dogs in other gardens. Stop it. So, I'm talking today to Charlotte Keates, who I actually met in Guernsey. And we're just going to be talking about making art in lockdown and how she's getting on. So I'm just going to add her in now. Hello. It's so nice seeing all the waves. So I'm just waiting for Charlotte to... Hello!
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really, really good. You look like you have the nicest studio view I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good day today, actually. I can take you over if you want to see. It's pretty nice.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, I can show you. Hang on. It's we're in the I'm in the top room at the moment, and it's like, I don't know whether you remember when you were over, it has like a 10-meter tide. So at the moment it's like quite low tide, but before it's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. That's
It's so
lovely
pretty.
view. Yeah,
Oh,
very lucky.
what a nice studio view.
You've just moved house though, haven't you? You've
I
just
have, yeah. So we've
Yeah.
got a lot of more houses nearby, so the dogs are still getting used to hearing other dogs, which
Oh,
is
how long have you had dogs for?
just over a year. Yeah, they're just over a year old. Yeah,
I really, really, really want a puppy or a dog, studio dog.
they're great company, except when they suddenly decide it's time to leave, and then they just hassle you.
Yeah,
We're done.
I can imagine. Oh,
But yeah, she's getting
that's
used to it
cute.
again. So how's lockdown?
It's okay. It's all right. I feel like over here we're it's a bit of a bubble actually, because obviously we can't travel or anything like that. But I think Guernsey's done really well at keeping kind of keeping it under control. I think there's only 6 active cases right now, and there haven't been any new ones for 12 days. So it's actually all right. And I've got like a lovely sea to be near, so I feel like quite lucky in that sense. I can go for nice walks and things like that. And ours is a bit different, where we can like extend. They're calling it extend your bubble, so you can go to another household now, which does make a difference. So I don't know whether they'll
Mm.
introduce that in the UK soon. I don't know, but like
We don't have that yet.
yeah. But no, making the most of being able to go out and use the bathing pools nearby. I don't know. Did you go there when you were in Guernsey? Yeah.
I was there I think it was still quite early in the year. It was like April or something when I was there for a long stint.
Yeah.
And my other stints were
Bit
like
cold.
shorter, show and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to be brave. I'm trying to, every time the sun's out, I'm saying I'm going in the bathing pools, it's just like the sea pools along the front.
Yeah,
And you can walk there, so I'm like, right, go
so
and make
jealous.
this.
No, it looks beautiful, really beautiful. I suppose we should say where Guernsey is because some people
Yeah, that's
on
so
here
true.
in the
I know,
UK
I get
haven't
so many
heard.
messages asking whether it's like, they're like, where do you live? Where is this? And I'm like, Guernsey, and they're like, where? So it's like, it's the Channel Islands. So in between England and France, nearer France, I guess.
Yeah, but you were in London before, weren't you? Before
Yeah,
you went.
so I was in London for 6 years. So I only moved last year to
Mm,
Guernsey. But Ian, my now husband, is from Guernsey originally. So that's how we ended
yeah,
up here.
yeah, excellent. Good to
Yeah.
know. So I was going to ask you how you got into art, just sort of in general. Were you like always a painter as a child, or did you draw a lot, or is it something you came to it suddenly, or what was the process for you?
Yeah. And I always drew a lot. I actually never painted ever. As a kid, I was like typical arty child. My mum would like shove me in a corner with a pen and paper and I'll be happy. And I don't, it's really funny. I was asked recently how I decided to study art, because I think obviously in the UK with like all the changes of like going to uni and having to pay now like triple or whatever it is from when we went, people are saying how important was it and everything like that. And I don't really remember ever, I don't know about you, but I don't really ever remember making like a really serious decision to go and study it, even though I did. I went for 3 years, like 4 years at Falmouth University.
Mm.
But I don't remember being like, I feel like it was just always quite a natural progression. I always knew that I like really enjoyed it and wanted to kind of pursue it, but I don't. It's really hard because I remember going and studying at like the foundation in Falmouth and thinking, how can I make a career in doing something that I love, something like drawing or painting or anything that I want to do that's creative. And I remember thinking, like making these lists, being like, what can I do that's creative? And it's so hard that I think at uni you're always told that you won't be able to have a
Yeah.
studio and like do that full time. Were you the same? Like,
Yeah, the narrative is very much, if you're not Tracy Emin, you probably need to do a teaching degree.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
really awful.
Get ready for your
And so
PGCE.
yeah, so
Yeah,
you get out of art college. I got out of art college, had a panic, and then things started to pick up, and I was okay. But it was definitely like, what have I done? Is this going to
yeah,
be okay? You know, because there's no
yeah,
real narrative about artists who are making work and getting by, who aren't, you know, in the mega millions and all over the world and everything. It's
yeah.
very disparate.
Yeah, it's tricky. And I know when I finished uni, so I studied fine art. It was on the foundation course that I actually um kind of discovered you have to try out all the areas, and I tried out painting, and I really hadn't painted before. I was always really into drawing, printmaking actually, like
Mm.
liner cuts and installation art, very conceptual art when I was at college. Which is quite funny. It's like gone. I don't know. It's interesting that when I did the painting part of the foundation, I think I was like, oh wow, I really like something. It just like sparked something within me to be like, I really want to get good at this. Like I really want to like discipline myself to be the best that I can in this area. It was I think it's funny, isn't it, as an artist, because you have this connection where you start doing something and you're like, it creates so much excitement, and you're like, I just want to do this all the time and be good at it. So I think that's how I fell upon kind of fine art and studying painting. And then I was actually really lucky. I had really great tutors, and that's something that I'm really, really grateful for. I had an artist called Lisa Wright as a tutor, who's
Yeah,
a
I've heard
fantastic
this.
painter. Do you know her work?
Mm.
Yeah. Um,
Yes.
and she was just absolutely brilliant, because I think you hear so much from art schools where like people who have gone and studied art and they've been really discouraged, or you don't get much kind of training or teaching. And I feel like I had quite intense teaching and training and like fantastic tutorials. So I'm just unbelievably grateful for that, really, because that led me into being able to set up and like feel like I could try and give it a go. So yeah.
Was that all at Falmouth, the
That was
degree
all
and
at
the?
Falmouth, yeah. And then so I did the first year, which was the foundation year, found painting, decided to stay on and do the 3-year fine art degree. Then I moved straight to London, and actually worked for an interior designer called Watts of Westminster in Chelsea, and painted alongside. So I actually had a gallery from St Ives come to my degree show and did a kind of like a Rising Stars degree like exhibition afterwards, and I showed with them. So I actually had a
Which
gallery
galleries they still
in
in
yeah, it's like a little it's called Portsmouth Gallery. So they were down in St Ives. So they were the first ones who kind of found me and my work, and decided to give me a go and show my work, which was really great. And then showed with a couple of other galleries, and then when I started showing with the Rusha Gallery, who now represent um, represent my work, they just helped me incredibly, and meant that I was kind of able to go full time and got rid of the
Mm.
interior design job. So that was all in London. Yeah. What did you do? Did you have like a job straight after graduating? How did you?
So when I did a degree in painting,
Oh,
during which I discovered drawing.
that's
That
fun.
was the opposite to you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and then I did an MA in drawing, which I was talking to my friend Nettie, who I met her on MA a few days ago, and we
Okay.
were just saying it was very conceptual, which we weren't really ready for. It was lots of like we were like marks on paper kind of people, and it was like shadows on the wall and string on the floor, which we kind of like, oh
It's so,
wow.
it's
So
so hard. It's so hard, isn't it, as like a creator to try and be like pushed in. Sometimes it's really good to be pushed in a direction where you feel like you're kind of expanding, like you're going into the unknown and you're really uncomfortable, but you know that it's going to push through and get somewhere. But if you feel like really, you really know within yourself that that's something that you just are so not into doing, it's really tough, isn't it, to be kind of like pigeonholed into
I
that.
found it harder because
It's
on my degree, that was when we explored. There was a lot of conceptual work on my degree, a lot of work in that vein, and it wasn't as if I didn't have a respect or understanding for that kind of work. it just wasn't what I'd chosen to do for an MA. But I
Yeah.
was lucky because it was a scholarship, so I finished it and then went and did another postgrad at the Royal Drawing School,
Yeah.
which was like
Really good.
polar opposite.
Yeah.
Very
I bet
like you've drawn
The
that
Royal Drawing
possible.
School. Sorry, I bet the Royal Drawing School was more. Were they freer? Were they kind of like set you your tasks, but you had more freedom to do what actually felt right for you, or was that just as hard?
I had freedom in my studio practice. I could do whatever I wanted in the studio, and then freedom in terms of choosing classes to
Mm,
attend. So
okay.
classes are quite structured, but I could choose if I didn't like a class, I could swap out onto something else. So
Yeah.
it was a bit of both actually, sort of running parallel, which was kind of good because by then I was by then I'd spent 5 years in art school, so I was pretty belligerent about what I did and didn't want to do,
Yeah.
particularly to the MA that hadn't gone so well. So
Yeah.
it was
You
kind
reached
of
your
good.
limit and like. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was interesting. It's funny how you sort of these through routes. But I had a nannying job in my last year where I just did one like 12-hour day on a Thursday, which helped me get through.
Yeah.
And then so I did that, and then I think what happened was they commissioned a piece from me. So instead of doing like 5 more weeks, I did a piece, something like that. I can't remember how we worked it out,
Yeah.
and that was my last real job.
Hmm.
And that once I'd done that piece, I left and was full time, which was pretty lucky.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Making that decision and being like, I can like figuring out finances and being like, can I do this? Is this okay? And then
Mm.
kind of just taking a leap of faith. But yeah, it's good.
It requires a lot of yeah, strength. I think I'd gotten onto a teaching course, and I was kind of, but I think that was a scared move on my part. Not like this is my absolute. I like teaching, I definitely do, but not
Yeah.
to full time.
No.
So that was a bit of my leap of faith was then going off and trying to do art first. Like
Yeah.
this isn't going, teaching's not going anywhere. So yeah. Cool. So yeah, I was going to ask you how you found art school, but you sort of told me. You sort of said
Yeah.
that you were really lucky. You had a really good time.
Very lucky. Yeah. Had really good tutors. Had a lovely, again, a studio that looked over the sea.
Mhm.
So actually, it was really hard moving from Falmouth to London. Both, so
Yeah.
me and Ian, my now husband, who's a graphic designer, we met on the foundation course. So 10 years ago, back in Falmouth,
Wow.
and we both moved to London with no money, no job, nothing, and we rented a through a friend of a friend. She had like two houses. She had like two rents at the same time because she'd taken on a new one, and she was like,
Mhm.
I think she rented us this room for like 10, like maybe like £5 each a night or something like this. It was mad in Fulham, and and we were just like, okay, we need to somehow make this work and get jobs, and like just risked it and got like internships, and I ended up getting the job with the interior designer, but didn't really like London to begin with for a while. So, but
Yeah,
then
I found it very lonely.
did you?
Very lonely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because where are you now? Are you out of London now?
I'm out of London now, so a bit like you, I stayed in London 7, 8 years, something like
Yeah.
that, and then but a lot of that was my MA and the other postgrad as well. So I was
Yeah.
like 3 years, and then yeah, so then I stayed until I'd sort of got a gallery and a little bit. I didn't feel like I had to be in London anymore.
Yeah.
With like have set up with a framer and all that kind of thing. You've got your
Yeah.
own little network, and then you can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel like you're leaving.
Yeah.
So now I'm in Buckinghamshire, which isn't too
Nice.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good because it's like fairly easy. I said moving here would be quite easy. I know it's so funny. I said like, well, I mean, I know it's not funny, but to begin with, I said, oh, it's great because everyone said, how hard is it, being away from London, being on a tiny island? And I was like, it's actually really easy because it's a beautiful place to live, and then it's only 20 minutes flight to get there, or
Yeah.
half an hour, whatever it is. And now it's like, oh, don't know when we'll next be able to fly, but we'll see.
Yeah.
People in
The flight is so short. They always give
yeah,
it like an hour or something, and then you
yeah,
land, and they always go, "We're early every
yeah.
time."
I know every time it's early. It's crazy. I know.
It's like how they get a really good record on their airline, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, probably. So true.
Always early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a studio in your home at the moment, don't you? In
Yes.
your home, or is
So
it somewhere else?
no, it is. It's the very top room in our house. And it's funny because I've always, even in London, for the last few years of London, we had like a live workspace in Hackney. So I was in
Mm.
my studio there. I was just surrounded by work always. And before that, I had a a really fantastic studio in Westminster, like just behind the Abbey. It was through the interior design place that I worked. They like gave it to me for something mental, like 300 quid a month, and it was the most beautiful attic space, which was a dream. But as soon as I left to go full-time painting, they were like, "Oh, you can't really keep the studio." So yeah, but it's funny because I think I work so much better from like my own space. So I think having that Westminster studio was great and it was beautiful, but I'd always get to the end of the day and feel like it was quite strange to stay there past a working day when everyone had left, and it was like somewhere like Westminster, it just became dead and quite spooky and weird. And I always work through the night, so I
Right,
find like having it at home, I can just kind of dip in and out, shut the door when I need to, and just work whenever I feel inspired to do so. I don't like yours is a home studio as well, isn't it?
it is. It wasn't my sort of long-term plan. I mean, it was when I moved to my last house in Buckinghamshire, one
Mm-hmm.
before this one, and then I realised I think I need a studio that's not in my house.
It
And
really,
then,
yeah,
yeah, I can't prioritize when I have a studio in my house. I can't. It's little things like I need to do the laundry, I need to do some
yeah,
gardening, like we need to make something for dinner, like oh, there's something to come out of the washing machine, whatever it is. I can't like under my admin as well. On top of that, that comes with your
yeah,
just general admin and
mm-hmm.
life admin.
Yeah,
I just panic. I'm like I don't know what to do because it's all I'm
overwhelming. Yeah,
yeah,
I
and then
made
I end
about
up
10 to-do lists
doing
a
the
day.
work and feeling bad. And, yeah, it's too hard. I need to be able to close the door at the end of the day, go home and deal with like home, and
Yeah,
go to the studio, and
yeah.
that be
I
that.
think you're either one or the other, aren't you? You're either like
Yeah, I think so.
exactly like that, or I feel like I need to like. Even when I remember getting on the tube at Westminster, like leaving the painting, feeling really frustrated, being like, it's so big, it's 1.20 meters, I can't carry it on the tube, and just looking
Yeah,
at photos of it like obsessively on the tube, being like, what
I
am I
did
doing?
that too. I
What do
used
you
to do
do?
that a lot.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just
I
like
would
you're so
I would
absorbed in it and
I'd take a picture before I left studio and then spend the rest of the evening just casually like getting
staring
it up
at
and
it.
looking.
Yeah. It's quite different, isn't it? I can imagine the way that you work as well. Do you find that you're the same? It's like once you're really engrossed in it, you're like it's all you can think about. It's like so all consuming, but it's kind of like this amazing energy that you're really excited by, and you're like, I just need to carry on.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
the worst is when you take a bad photo and then spend an entire evening telling
Yeah.
yourself artwork's awful, and then you
Yes.
get back into studio and you're like,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah. Actually, I love it. Yeah. I have I
that's
have
the
that
worst.
I have that major issue because like with color. So if I take the photo and it's like nighttime and I've got lights on or like anything like that, and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, like that's not working, that color's not working here, and like and then I'm like overthinking that part of it, and actually it can just be to do with the way that you took the photo. So it is really important, isn't it? Like
Yeah, and drawings that photograph terribly as well, which I suppose is better than them. Like, it's always better they look good in real life, I
yeah,
suppose.
yeah, that's true.
That's what
That's
I tell myself.
yeah,
I have some stories. I'm like, why is it you're nice in real life and in the picture I
yeah,
can't bear it? Like I
yeah.
just
I know what you mean. It's funny though as well
like,
because I was reading is I think it's Cecily Brown that said something about how everything on because obviously photographing everything then putting it on Instagram everything looks so shiny and like perfect because it's blocked into a tiny little square image and everything scaled down looks so great, and then when you see it in real life you don't want to have the disappointment. But I feel like most artists maybe I don't know, maybe it's not true and it's quite narcissistic to think that our works are better in real life, but I feel like that's something that we'd all hope for anyway, that it's not just little Instagram images making everything look,
oh yeah. I
you
think
know?
I think I think I've only ever seen one work that was better on Instagram.
Have you? Yeah, I'm trying to think now. I'm like, have I seen anything? Yeah.
But that's yeah, I think that's like just comes down to editing, isn't it? Trying to
Yeah.
only edit your image so it looks like it looks in real life, not so it looks better.
Yeah.
Because then that
Yeah.
you're creeping into dodgy waters, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. No.
Same with your face though. Don't edit your face because otherwise you'll look in the mirror and be disappointed. Same with
Yeah.
painting.
So true.
Same. But yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been working on?
I am working on lots and lots of paintings for hopefully my show in New York. um, uh, yeah, so I've got lots in very different stages, and also some drawings. So we actually at the beginning of last year we went to Japan, Singapore, and Indonesia, Bali, and I feel like my work's always been sort of inspired by travel, but I would never want to say I never want to make a piece and then be like, this piece is about Japan. Like, I don't want it to be as black and white as that. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, they're like memories and ideas of places that I've been that kind of trigger a sense of nostalgia or familiarity within the viewer. That's the kind of aim. And I think when we were in Japan, I just loved the idea of kind of the way that the ergonomics of a space that they design, and the way that they treat their interiors in terms of like they're inspired by the senses and the seasons. And I just love the idea of the senses and the seasons influencing an interior and like my color choices. So I've been trying to, we're calling it like color zoning. I've been trying to like treat each painting as almost as a seasonal palette, and think of them in like cycles. And I was also looking at the idea of rituals, and I was thinking, what's the difference between a ritual and a routine? And I was like, I actually don't know what the difference between a ritual and a routine is. And I think I kind of have discovered that it's actually our perception of it. So it's our treatment of a ritual has a lot more importance, and we consider it to be something that we maybe enjoy, whereas a routine just happens. So you can treat anything.
So the ritual maybe a little bit more holistic, or like, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit more
yourself.
magical. There's a bit more like, there's something a bit more special. It's maybe making it special. And I don't know about you, but I kind of came back thinking, I don't have any ritual. I have no schedule in my day, and I have no routine whatsoever, nothing. And I was like, I kind of like the idea of trying to implement that and treating it as like a discipline. So I ended up, I started thinking, I'll make a drawing a day. I'll try and do a drawing, and it doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else, and it doesn't have to kind of be anything. It doesn't have to be referenced to anything that's going on with my paintings, but it's just something that I will do to try and create a ritual. But do you have rituals?
I don't know. I did actually do a drawing a day for quite a long time when I was on my degree. Yeah, I had a load of old photographs from my childhood that I'd sort of snuck out of my mother's house without telling her. She didn't she would not build them easily. So I had like a stack of them, and I would just draw one every day. And I had a sketchbook, and it didn't really matter if I drew it well or not well. I was really just getting into drawing properly at that point, and drawing in pen. So I just filled a sketchbook with those every day on my commute. I did one of them. So that was really nice. But I don't have I think in the last house before we moved and everything, like coronavirus, like I did to some degree, but also my husband travels, so sometimes he's here and sometimes he's not here, and so I probably should put something in the day that's like
it's quite nice.
So hard.
It's hard. It's funny because like everyone probably has an element of a routine. Like I was thinking, even if you have a shower, but your shower is your routine in the morning usually, but actually if you then have a shower and you're thinking, I'm using my favorite soap, or I'm using something that feels special to you, that then can become your ritual. Like it can quite easily be implemented into your daily routine, I guess. But it's just the way you think about it.
Coffee is my ritual. My morning coffee.
Your morning coffee, that can be.
Yes.
That can totally.
Because there isn't an afternoon coffee, and the coffee pot I've had for years, and I always take it with me when I travel. So I suppose that's nice. That's a ritual.
That's your totally ritual. But I thought it's quite an interesting thing to think about now as well, because everyone's at home doing the same sort of things, and everyone must have a form of ritual or lack of one right now that they can think about. So it's I don't know. It's funny to think about. I'm enjoying making the drawings. The drawings feel fun and free, which is nice, because I think with the paintings they're kind of so intense and take a lot of brain power at the moment, and I think with the drawings aren't intricate at all or anything really. Like they're just kind of thoughts that are coming out of my brain and feel very kind of intuitive, which is quite a nice feeling.
I think it's good to keep that excitement. I think I definitely lost that a little bit a couple of years ago, maybe even a year ago. Not that I noticed at the time, I just realised I was only drawing things I knew I could draw, or knew I could chat, or knew I could sort of, not maybe knew I could definitely do well, but like knew wasn't a sort of an adequate challenge, But But now I things I have to do it, even if I'm like, I don't think I can draw that.
No, it's so good. I think that's exactly like you're saying where you were. That's where I was after my show in Miami, because I was kind of thinking, I know I've got to a point where I can figure out with colour. If I know a painting isn't working, I think I maybe reached a point where I was thinking, okay, I know if I use this specific colour, I can balance it out and I can make the piece feel balanced, and I know that I can make it work, which sounds maybe strange, but I knew the fixes, or I knew the, and then I hated the feeling of being like, oh, it's almost, I don't want there to be a formula, and I want to be making sure I'm pushing myself and feeling excited
and
and
you
doing
look
new
back
things.
to when you started those paintings in that way, and at the time that was scary, and you've lost that. I think when you lose that element of fear in starting something, then you're like, if I know this is going to be good, why am I making this?
Exactly. And I think it came, I think maybe when I was thinking about what my ritual could be to try and push myself, I was thinking it came back to actually my tutor. So Lisa Wright, when she first taught me at uni, so it's like 8 years ago, I don't know, or no, it'd be right at the beginning, so maybe like 10 years ago. She said, she first of all said, your drawing is not up to scratch. You are not going to paint for 3 months, and all you're allowed to do is draw at uni, which is quite intense. And quite hard to hear when you're in your first year. But actually, I think it was the best advice, and I kind of took that on, where I was like, right, drawing underpins everything that I do. All of my paintings are led by drawing, so like seriously focus on it and make sure it's in there, which I think is only going to help and feed into the work, maybe.
Yeah, and there's definitely moments in your paintings where you are drawing with paint. It's the practices can very much overlap. You can be drawing with paint, and you can be painting with drawing mediums. If you're using an oil pastel and a medium in a certain way, it can be pretty much a painting. Or if you're using, your paint to create line, you're pretty much drawing. It's sort of like, where does one start and the other begin?
They're so linked. Yeah.
Have you found that lockdown has sort of drifted into your work in any way? Like, even if it's not necessarily what you're working on, but if it's sort of changed your routine or changed how you're making it?
I think yes, slightly, actually, in terms of, actually right now probably more so. There's a piece that I have on the go that I think is becoming even more reliant on imagination, more so than anything that I've worked on previously, because I don't know whether it's something to do with having, I don't know about you, but I'm dreaming a lot more at the moment, and I'm having these really vivid but strange dreams. And I think it might be because there's like a lack of like stimulation. Like we can only go out a little bit, and like then you're actually very much in your house. So I think maybe my imagination is quite enjoying it. I don't know. And I think that's possibly showing and like coming out of it in the work. And also, I paint through the night anyway, so regularly I'll paint till like 4 or 5 in the morning. That's like my time. Like probably from 11 o'clock at night to about 4 o'clock is my prime time, which is incredibly antisocial, ridiculous, but it's just the way it works. But now it's become, I think in lockdown I reached a point where I was like, okay, this has actually gotten really weird, because I was really struggling to go to bed at about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I was like, I am actually becoming fully nocturnal. And it's really strange because like I'm okay with it, but it's the next day when I finally wake up and it's like, oh, it's midday, and I feel really strange and groggy, and it's like, I know I shouldn't be doing that, but when I'm working and it's through the night, it doesn't feel like I shouldn't be doing it, if that makes sense. It feels right.
No, I do understand that. I do get that like that sort of drive to work really late. There's something about it, like you've gotten rid of everything else in the day, and you've like eliminated all other tasks, distractions. You're at a certain point of tired when nothing else is going to seep in, and you have to do some work, and it hones your focus in a way that is kind of like you can't get in any other way than by being ridiculous and just working late at night. It kind of just does it.
And it's like quiet, and you're not going to get, there's like very little distractions. And it's interesting, I wonder whether it's anything to do with, like you said, about working from home. You have all these other kind of priorities of like making dinner and like thinking about washing it, like all those other things that at night time I'm like, it's night, I'm not meant to do that. maybe
hanging out.
Yeah. I'll paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes. Well, I've been asking everyone what they've got planned for after lockdown, but I know you've got your show hopefully
Yeah,
in New York, which you'll be working towards. How long have you been working on it?
like nearly 2 years. Well, a year and a half, I think, at the
Wow.
moment. So I had this like a solo show with Impulse Miami, and then since then it's kind of been, we made the decision after that to do New York this
Mm.
autumn. So yeah, it's like a long time coming. So I do hope like it will go ahead. Obviously, just taking it week by week and focusing on making the work. But yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? It's
It
bizarre.
is. I
But
was meant to have some work in New York.
were you
Now. I
now?
don't know. Yeah, yeah, not a solo show, just some pieces. It
Yeah,
was like in London at the same time as TEFAF, so like to have
yeah,
like a show on like opposite the fair kind of thing. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's so disappointing, isn't it? But I just hope. Will that? Do you think that you will still have that show when, like, is it postponed or is it cancelled?
I think it's probably not like it's the idea is postponed
Yeah,
because it was three galleries coming together to put on this exhibition of some of their artists for the fair. I think it's the organisation of it that would take time to bring round again. But
yeah.
yeah, I like to think that lots of the things that have been like cancelled will
We'll
sort of find
resurface.
their own way through into
Yeah, I hope so.
existing again in form.
It's hard because
Like,
have you been looking at many like online viewing, like, lots of people are obviously doing, lots of galleries are turning to doing like online exhibitions. I don't know whether you've been seeing.
yeah, we discussed that. I discussed that with my gallery because I was supposed to have this solo show in September in London, and we discussed having it online. And we both agreed it wasn't. It depends what happens. Obviously, if we have to, we have to. But for the amount of hours I put into the tiny,
Yeah,
tiny, tiny details in these works, I just couldn't just put it online and be done with it. I needed people to come and look.
yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Because it's like you can't, obviously it's great to be able to make exhibitions accessible online because all of us will go mad if we can't see any artwork or anything. I think it's brilliant like how many things there are that have been put out there, but at the same time it would be quite disheartening, yeah, totally, because it's just not the same as it is looking at something in the real.
Yeah.
Like when you came over for your talk and I got to see your piece um in the what is it, where was it, it's at the Guernsey Museum, isn't it? Guernsey Museum in Candy Gardens, yeah. And it's just like like they're so magical, and I just think your work does translate very well into photography and online, doesn't it? But like in real life they're just incredible, and I think
Yeah, they photograph fine, but I just don't think it's ever the same, is it?
it's
Because it's so,
not, no.
even just with the scale, people have, it's so much like if I photograph a final piece, it's on Instagram, it's like this big,
Exactly.
and
And
the
it's,
final piece is meters. You
yeah,
can't possibly compare.
no,
So yeah, it's mad. But
it's hard to translate.
I wonder how long we will have these sort of art events online, and how
Yeah,
it's going to sort of translate back into the real world. I hope at least it will sort of be like galleries open, maybe shows on longer and one in, one
yeah.
out or something.
Yeah, I don't
Just
think private views won't be able to happen for a while, will they? Maybe, but you just don't know. I guess. Like, I don't know. I can't really. If I think about it too long, it kind of makes my brain feel weird. It's like a bit scary.
it's
Don't.
very strange. It's like you sort of feel like maybe you've just been on holiday and you'll go
Yeah,
back to London and everything will be normal. I haven't been to London since way before lockdown, so in my head London is still London.
yeah, yeah. You don't imagine it to be empty and what it is at the moment, really. But
Mm,
strange.
yeah. Where's the first place you want to go after lockdown?
Ooh. We were meant to be going to Italy this weekend. That would be very nice, but that was just with some friends and just a really nice like long weekend there. Um,
You're the first person I've asked that who hasn't gone. My honeymoon.
oh, oh God, we got married in November, so we were quite
Oh wow, yeah.
away straight away. But yeah, oh really, that's sad. Yeah, honeymoon is going to be very sad. I know, and there's loads of like we had so many weddings to go to this year that have just been cancelled. So I think next year will be year of the weddings.
It
Hopefully.
definitely, yeah. definitely. I've got two or three I'm aware of, and then several coming up that are looking a bit rocky. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's sad.
Yeah,
Where do you think you'll go? Where would you like to go next?
it's a very good question.
It is a good question. You asked me, and I thought I don't
Anywhere.
know.
Um, well, my husband had when we went over to Guernsey, so that I could do the talk at the museum. I brought my husband with me, and we loved it, and we want to come back for like a proper little holiday. That's
Come
what we would
back
like
and we
to
can
do.
meet up properly.
We were dreaming of moving to Guernsey, but it looks quite
Oh,
complicated.
oh, I know. I'm on like, so I had to, yeah, I don't know whether I should say this on here, but I'm like on Ian's visa, so as like a family visa, but I didn't realise you had to apply for like a permit. I think I was like illegally living here for a month or two until we spoke to friends, and then she was explaining what her job was, and she was like, you know, when you moved here and you had to get a permit, and I was like, no. So that's how I discovered I was probably
Well,
illegal.
there's probably a limit on it. It's probably like 90 days or something. You were fine.
Yeah, I
After,
think I was fine,
sure.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is tricky. It's yeah, but it's a yeah, it's mad to think that I think we moved. It's been almost a year now, which is crazy. Like that's insane that we have been here this long. It doesn't feel like it, but
Yeah. Time flies.
yes,
Last year.
yeah. Last
So
is
what if you were gonna go and see an artwork after lockdown, something you've missed, what would you go and see?
I think I'm really craving going to like the main like the big galleries in London. I'd want to go to Tate Britain is probably my favourite. I think I'd go sit in the Henry Moore room for ages.
Mm.
I think I'd yeah, because actually I think I really love sculpture, and I just think that that especially is something that does not translate into online viewing or anything, and I just think that room is incredibly beautiful. The Henry Moore works, and I think it would calm me down. Go sit in there and enjoy it. Also,
Yeah.
Mama Anderson is probably one of my favourite painters. And if I could teleport myself to New York to go see her show in Davidsburn, I would. So maybe her. What would you
Yeah.
think?
Stars might align. Might all work out.
Yeah.
See how we go there.
I think it's an online show right now, so
Oh, maybe not.
I know. What work
We'll
would you go
see.
and see?
I haven't, even before lockdown, I hadn't been to the National Gallery in quite a while, and it used to be a bit of a mecca for me. I started going there when I was about 17. We would get the train down, because I grew up in Hertfordshire for a bit, grew up a lot of
Mhm.
places, but in Hertfordshire for a while,
Yeah.
and we would get the train down, me and my friend, and just go at the weekend and walk around. And then I ended up spending a lot of time there on my MA drawing, because I just moved to London and it was quite lonely, so I just go to the National Gallery and draw on my days off. And then we were there a lot on my postgrad because we had to be, it was part of the course. And then I still go there a lot. And then just before lockdown, I hadn't been in ages, so suddenly just feeling this like, oh,
It's like
need to
pull
go.
to go back there. Yeah, especially if you've been there, like going, and it's been like a bit of a. It's somewhere that you went when you first felt slightly lonely in London. It probably has like a sense of kind of.
Yeah, I remember when I was 16 or 17, we did a school trip to the National Gallery,
Mhm.
and I cried in front of a Rembrandt in front of my whole class.
Yeah,
I just thought it was so beautiful.
yeah. Oh,
So yeah, it definitely has lots of memories in there, definitely. So but the problem is I always navigate by the paintings, which is very unwise because sometimes they move. And I
oh
was
yeah.
running a class there once, and I just suddenly just paused in a room, and I was like, the El Greco's gone.
Where is it gone?
I don't know what
Oh my god. Track down the artwork.
Yeah, always navigate by the wallpaper or room numbers, just not the paintings.
Yeah.
So yes, probably there. Either that or the Prado, because all the work I'm making at the moment is inspired by the Prado. So it'd be nice to go there
Let's
again.
go back.
Soak it
When
up
were you
some
there?
more. I was there in 2015, and I spent 2 months drawing the paintings in the Prado, which was amazing. Just to
Yeah.
sort of wander in with a chair and just
Mm.
pick what you want to sit down. Even more because it was in Spain. It was the Prado and not the National Gallery, because anyone can do that in London,
Yeah.
and I frequently do. But in Spain, in the Prado, you needed like a pass just to bring in
Oh
a folding chair.
really?
Yeah, and you needed permission if you were working on anything bigger than like a sketchbook, and I had like big pieces of paper. So it was definitely like you were one of the only people in the museum sitting in front of an artwork drawing, and you attracted a lot of attention because of it, and it was very surreal. Because they you know, there's like tour guides who stand outside and like I'll give you a tour, who aren't related to the gallery. They would learn where you are and like make you part of the tour.
Oh, really?
UK.
That's so good. You just create this drawing like, hi.
Yeah. I remember one day I was I'd been there 2 months and it was very sunny, so I'd gotten quite tanned, and people thought I was Spanish, and particularly people who weren't Spanish, obviously.
Yeah.
I remember one day I was wearing dungarees for some reason. I was sitting on this tiny chair they gave me, and this American lady leant over and she just went, "Oh my God," and she's just a little girl.
That's so good.
So, I don't know.
How did you react?
I think she then started tapping me and trying to say something like about the artwork, and then she was like trying to say something in Spanish, and I said, "I'm really sorry, I don't speak Spanish." So then she knew I understood everything she said.
She was like, oh.
So that was quite strange.
That's funny. Yeah.
Nice memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I was going to ask whether you're are you more aware of like time and stuff at the moment with lockdown, or like do you listen to music and stuff while you work, or?
I do. I have phases. Like if work's going really well, it's just music or nothing. If it's going fairly well, then it's like documentaries, and if it's a slow day and I'm finding it hard, it's films on the background that I like know well and like to like.
Yeah, that you can just have in the background that you know what's
Yeah, but it's not really. That's not really like a marker of like it being a like. Obviously, once it's on, it's no longer really a marker of it being a bad day, because it's like, well, it might improve things. So it just depends on your mood, I think. But I think ever since I really like got into my smartphone around 2016, my concentration has definitely changed. Definitely.
You think?
I used to just work in silence a lot, and
Did you?
And I used to have music on and not even realize what I was listening to. Like something weird would come on, like Backstreet Boys or something, and you'd be like, oh, how long have I been listening to this?
Yeah.
And now that just doesn't happen. And I kind of came to terms with that. I realized that like last year, I was like, okay, it just is what it is. Like my concentration has definitely been affected by all this like emails and Instagram and Twitter and all these other things going on. And that's okay, as long as I can put something on that filters that out, like, some music or a film or a documentary. Like, it's just being honest about it, I think. Like, it's sad, but it's not going to go backward. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so true. Do you have to, if I'm painting, I know exactly what you mean, because you can so easily get distracted by anything to do with your phone. Do you sometimes like have to put it away while you're working, or do you always have it kind of there a bit and then?
So I've done all sorts of things. I've got personalized ringtones, so I know when it's important. So I don't just check, because there's like one notification sign for everything.
Yeah.
So then I've got no notifications for Instagram or Twitter. I've got personalized ringtones for like if it's important people. Yeah. And then sometimes I turn it off or put it on do not disturb. I've tried all sorts of things, different days, different moods. Sometimes I need the phone because I'll have the film on the laptop and the photo I'm looking at on the phone. So it's like juggling. So sometimes sometimes the phone is the enemy and it's going away. So how about you? What do you have? What do you do?
Yeah, I use my this is what I was thinking when I said it, asked you, sorry. I was thinking I always use my phone I either have like podcasts or music or like an audible book, generally, because I think I quite like having either a book or a podcast, because then I'm less aware of time. Like with music, you're always like, oh, that was 2.5 minutes. What have I done in 2.5 minutes? But then it means that I've always got my phone, which I never put it on. Like I always think, I could put it on airplane mode or something. But like you might get a call or, and I don't. But actually, it's something that I might consider, because it is mad, isn't it? Especially at the moment, if you're just kind of stuck in and then on your phone constantly with work, trying to get work done. That maybe it's an idea. Yeah, it's just something else. Yeah, thank you.
I got an Alexa.
Oh,
My
have
husband
you?
got me an Alexa so that I wasn't leaning into the laptop to pick songs or leaning on my
Oh, yeah,
phone to
that's
pick songs
good.
all the time. So you could just ask it. But then it's really arsey with me.
And
So
they're
when
always
I've been yelling
listening.
at the Alexa rather than just picking the song or the album. And she'll just go like orange and be like, I don't understand. Or she'll just play the wrong thing or tell me that we can't access it when we definitely can. So
Yeah,
this is like sometimes she's a
sometimes
lovely
a bit more
distraction.
hassle.
Sometimes she's just a bit of, it's not her day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends. Many ways to try and make it work.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No. I know lots of people who have like who have external studios who have no Wi-Fi or something like that, and that probably sounds quite good, but like quite idyllic. But I don't know whether going from having it to not having it would be quite tricky. I don't know. I don't know how to feel
It would
about
be
that.
quite strange. Because I Google stuff for work all the time, just
Yeah.
little things. My Google search history is very strange. It's
Yeah.
like, in one day it will be like soft brush, snail, fawn, tactile objects. They just like Googling all sorts of things that you might or might not put into a drawing. So, and it's easier on your phone. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
so true.
No
We're in the
escaping
process
it.
of
But, yeah.
pardon?
I said there's not really much escaping it other than living at home.
Oh, no. We're actually in the process of like we've got outside we've got like a small, it's kind of like a garden courtyard thing, and then at the end at the moment there's a 2-room workshop, so we're turning that. We had to apply for planning permission in Guernsey is very hard, but we had to apply for it to turn that into a studio. So I was just thinking I could shut the door and not but I need Wi-Fi out there. It'd be too hard. Too hard.
Good place to run away to, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been really nice catching up with you, and it's so nice to talk about your work as well. Because last time I saw you was like in a flurry at the museum as well, so it's like talk about
Yes.
you some more.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
And
And if you come to Guernsey, you have to let us know.
of course,
Really
yes,
nice.
definitely. We'll be back. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it was like the last place we went before lockdown, so we have this very like idealized golden view of it now. Even though it rained the whole time.
Yeah, it rained the entire time, didn't it? You were here, it was awful. The moment it's either glorious or just downpour. Yeah. It's like nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope the rest of lockdown goes well, and I'm going to enjoy seeing all the development with your paintings on Instagram, and I hope the show happens as well.
Thank you. And yours. We'll keep fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, take care.
And you.
Bye.
Bye.